Non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Yes, and a happy football Sunday to those of you who celebrate. It's kind of weird when the Vikings don't play until Monday night. You just sit around all day, and then you sit around another day, and it's got to wait like a day and a half here.
It's more awkward because, like, we obviously had Thanksgiving off, so it feels like we've had like 4 Saturdays, to a degree.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then the Vikings don't play again until Monday, so schedule-wise, I am not a fan of this. Just saying, I like a little more structure in situations like this.
Oh, the lights are
Hold
off.
On a second.
Now they're back on.
There it is.
I'm remote control.
I'm changing the hue.
System?
I'm changing the hue for the light. For those of you who aren't watching, I've got a light.
Let me just change the light
behind me.
The clapper.
I'm old. I wish I had a clapper. I'm getting a clapper. At some point in time, I'm getting a clapper. If I live,
is that still a thing? I feel like the infomercials for those I remember from like the 90s.
We got one as kind of like a gag gift from Walgreens like 10, 12 years ago when, it was way past its prime. And it was just like at, the as seen on TV section in Walgreens or like any store. They had one and we picked it up. It kind of worked. It was like a 70-80% chance of working.
Yeah. Okay. It's
online, baby. Online. In 20 years, I bet you can get a clapper. A classic clapper.
We should put a Score North or a Purple Daily clapper light on the shop. By the way, I believe the Black Friday code Friday is still in effect all throughout the weekend here. ScoreNorth.com/shop to get your Purple Daily merchandise, your Pastronaut merchandise. I will ride with this group. All sorts of great stuff for you guys. ScoreNorth.com/shop. So this is our picks episode here. We're going to go through all the different information from the betting world and what the smart people are saying about this game. We'll ask a couple key questions here to start things off, presented by our friends at Summit Orthopedics. If you're dealing with any type of pain, maybe you're doubtful, maybe you're limited in practice this week, and you got that back flaring up, you got the wrist, whatever it may be, knees. No referrals are needed. Same-day appointments available at Summit Orthopedics. They also offer walk-in orthopedic urgent care 7 days a week, starting at 8 a.m., 25 locations in the Twin Cities and Greater Minnesota. Learn more at summitortho.com. That's summitortho.com. Okay, what are you guys, starting with Judd, most confident in regarding this game against the Bears? Confidence on behalf of the Vikings.
I'm confident in a lot of things, but I'd like to throw a curveball here. I'd like to throw a curveball because I was doing some research on this question and trying to find like things, and we've used a lot of Vikings things. So here's what I'm most confident in. If the Bears lose this game, which is, dare I say it, they should, this will be Matt Eberflus's 4th and final game coaching against the Vikings. And here's a large part of the reason why. Did you guys know that the Bears, in the 2 years of Eberflus, have yet to beat a division foe?
Yeah.
They're 0-9. They're 0-2 against the Vikings. He inherited a 3-game losing streak already. In other words, the Bears come into this game with a 12-game losing streak against their division, which I believe in his introductory press conference, General Manager Ryan Poles said, we're going to take the North and never give it back.
Yeah. You got to beat one of those teams at some point to take the North, don't you?
Don't you accident? I mean, this is the North we're talking about. It's not murderer's row the last 2 years exactly. I mean, the Vikings won 13 games a year ago, but they certainly weren't a great team. A year ago, the Lions got off to a putrid start. The last time I checked, the Packers, weren't exactly a surging franchise. You're 0-9. So I guess what I'm saying is I think that the Bears are going to make a coaching change based on the fact that if you can't beat the division ever, that's a huge problem. And I'm also pretty confident, and we'll get to this in picks, that the Vikings are going to bounce back. So the Vikings will not become victim one of the Chicago Bears.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm most confident the Vikings have just had an extra day to prepare here. It's the Bears. They're at home. I know it's prime time, and schedules have been a little wonky still, but I'm just confident that the Vikings are going to take care of business against the Bears team, and they did pretty well against Tyson Bagent, obviously. They knocked out Justin Fields the last time, but Fields is now healthy, and I know Chicago played a lot better last Sunday against Detroit and almost snuck out with a big win there. But I'm just confident in the Vikings having a big win at home here before they can rest up even more for the bye week.
I'll give you some just some fun statistical fodder here for the thing I'm most confident in. Justin Fields, according to Pro Football Focus, has been pressured on 50% of his dropbacks. And some of that's offensive line related, but remember the last game they played against the Bears, and the first play of the game was a great illustration, and Booney showed us, okay, this is a very basic protection here. The quarterback should know that the offensive line has these guys, and if this guy comes, it's a free runner, and so he needs to throw to his hot route, and like basic things that he wasn't picking up. So a chunk of these pressures are self-inflicted by either Fields not knowing what he's looking at, or maybe Fields keeping a play alive and running into pressure. However it gets there, 50% pressure rate on Justin Fields this season. So I think Brian Flores is licking his chops here. Now, you got to be careful because if you get too aggressive blitzing, he could run out of the pocket, and it could be a game where he runs for 85 yards and 2 touchdowns or whatever if you're not careful. But I think just finding a way to fluster Justin Fields, Brian Flores should have a field day, pun intended. Wow. Yeah, just came up with that right there off the top of my head.
I did not see that coming.
No, that's the type of elite humor you get here.
Sunday humor
Daily.
from you on Purple Daily.
Okay, what scares you the most about this game, Judd?
Well, considering that, the Denver game was the latest example of a game that the 2023 Vikings have lost because of the 2023 Vikings turnovers. It sounds simple, but this team has 20 turnovers. The 20 turnovers, giveaways, are tied for third most in the entire league. I mean, that's the sign of a bad team. And the Vikings aren't, but that's a sign of a bad team. Further statistical evidence of what this malady can do to tear apart a franchise. The Vikings are 5-0 in games where they have broken even or actually won the turnover battle, okay? They are 1-5 in games with a negative turnover differential, the win coming against Carolina, so that's sort of understandable because Carolina is basically a dumpster fire. And here's the really scary thing that gets back to my bold statement from a couple weeks back about what could have been. And I know it's done, but it's still what could have been. The 3 times, including the Denver game, you guys, that the Vikings have had a -3 turnover differential. So -3, horrendous.
Yeah.
3 times they've done that, and they have lost by 1 score.
Yeah, that's the whole season, right?
Yes. So there's nothing the Bears do that I'm like, ooh boy, watch for this. Yeah, they got some things. Okay, very few, but they got some things. But I mean, really, the story of this Vikings team, incredibly, is the Vikings versus the Vikings.
Yeah, it's true. Dex?
Yeah, it's almost next to nothing for me because Chicago just doesn't have a lot that scares you.
Don't fall into my trap from last week.
This is true.
Nothing
I'm not going to
scared
tweet
me
anything
about the Broncos.
I did just maybe listen to this episode. They can clip it, I guess, and then post and make me look like a fraud. But, Fields can move around with his legs a little bit, and maybe that causes some problems for the Vikings. But in general, not shooting yourselves in the foot. That's kind of what this comes down to. Can you not shoot your dang self in the foot? To Judd's point, they could have 9 or 10 wins at this point. But the Vikings need to take care of business against the NFC North. They got to take care of the business against conference teams. They still have a very good cushion here to be in the playoffs, but nothing really scares me about the Bears outside of the Vikings shooting themselves in the foot.
That's pretty much what I said last week. Is like nothing scared me about the Broncos. It was if the Vikings were to fall into a turnover well, which they did.
Right.
So it's kind of the same thing. I would say this about the Bears: they have a sneaky good defense the last 2 months or so. In fact, Here are the rush yards the Bears defense has allowed by game the last couple months: 29 yards. 46, 39, 54, 87, 43. Last week, they allowed 115 to the Lions. The Lions actually got a bunch of, I think the Lions were well under 100 up until the last couple drives. And then they just kept running like draw play. In a 2-minute drill, they kept like getting 5-6 man boxes and just running the ball at the end of the game. Mm-hmm. So they've really been clamps against opposing teams' run games. So I guess what I worry about a little bit is Vikings try to get the run game going. It stalls out 2.5 yards in a cloud of dust. And now it's on Josh Dobbs to throw the ball like 35 times, 40 times, whatever it is. So I would say that about the Bears defense. What are the sharps saying about this game? We go to actionnetwork.com here. where the Vikings are 3-point favorites as we record this episode on Sunday morning. 62% of the bets are on the Bears. Even more interestingly, 78% of the money is on the Bears to cover this 3. I don't know that I look at these two, outside of turnovers, I don't know that I look at these two teams and say, yeah, pretty close to equal. Like, give the Vikings a 3-point home advantage and flip a coin in this game. So that's the fact that 78% of the money is on the Bears
that surprises
is
me.
Curious to me.
The spread does not. Like, because these teams just traditionally play pretty close games. So the spread, where the spread is there as far as the bets go, does not surprise me. I thought you were going to say, though, the money was on predominantly the Vikings.
Yeah.
So that is weird. So, like, you really think, and I mean, these people know a lot. So I'm not mocking them. I'm not questioning them, but I am saying I find it very intriguing. I wonder what they think the Bears have going for them that they would win straight up.
Yeah, I think, number one, the 62% of bets being on the Bears is one thing, but when you see a lot more money than bets being on a team, to me it signifies that, like, and maybe I'm wrong on this, that bigger chunks of money obviously are coming in, which means, like, sharp bettors are coming in with bigger chunks of money saying, unless there's just a bunch of fish from Chicago coming in saying, drunkenly on Thanksgiving, like, yeah. Give me the Bears.
The Bears.
But as we go through some of the other information, something's got to give here, because the Vikings have played now 32 road. This is a road stat, I guess, but it's interesting because it's a night game stat. But going back to that Denver Broncos game last week, 32 road night games since 2009, and the Vikings are now 7-25 straight up in those games. Now this is a home game, and they've been better at home, but largely the Vikings playing in prime time has not been that great the last handful of years, the last 10 years. But the Bears since 2020, this is the Bears' 15th night game since 2020. And they are 4-10 in those other night games. So a couple of teams that just generally aren't that great in these primetime situations playing against each other.
If this game was in Chicago, I think I would get it more.
Yeah, I think so too. But definitely
here
not.
It seems odd. Okay.
Vikings lost on Sunday night to the Broncos. Now they play at night again in back-to-back weeks. Teams playing at night for a second straight game after losing the first game are just 45-73 in that next night game. So only a 38% win rate. Kevin O'Connell on the flip side, just overall, when he's a favorite as a head coach, the Vikings are 15-3 straight up when favorites in the Kevin O'Connell era. Kevin O'Connell by time of day. In noon games or earlier, he is 16-3 straight up. In 3 p.m. starts or later, 3-7 straight up. So old KOC likes those nooners, or the 8 a.m. games, I guess, in London.
He and Kirk, they both like those noon kickoffs.
The Vikings defense ranks top 10 in DVOA against both the run and the pass, and collectively are a top 10 DVOA defense. But watch out for the improving Bears defense, whose run defense rates best in the league over the past 6 weeks. Here's another one, too. Expect a low-scoring game, potentially. When both teams are on extended rest, when you get the extra day or more, the under is 102-47 since 2018, including 26-5 so far this year. So when you get extra rest, take the under, according to this data. And then one more for you. The Bears are 1-9 straight up in their last 10 road games, and they're 2-13 straight up in their last 15 overall road games. Chicago's 5 straight-up road wins since 2021 is tied for the fewest in the NFL. So the Bears are what we thought they were on the road, which is not good. So good luck to them. We'll make our official picks here, but a shout-out to our friends over at Nutrisource. The official, Maya Mackey was at doggy daycare for a while we were out of town on Thanksgiving. And her Thanksgiving meal was Nutrisource chicken and rice because she loves it. It's her favorite food. I'm sure that Stella probably got some. Did she get some actual turkey, like turkey-to-go sandwiches? You guys
Thanksgiving, I came downstairs and I said, Stella, today's a big day. Thanksgiving, it's turkey, it's the trimmings. What do you want? And she looked at me and said simply, Nutrisource. I want my Nutrisource and give it to me now. And I bet the Vinster said the same thing.
He did. He had a good little Thanksgiving week here as well. He got to go see his brother. He got all the treats. He's doing well here. So yes, our friends at Nutrisource make him a very, very happy boy.
NutrisourcePetFoods.com to find a Nutrisource retailer near you. And then, wash it down if you're old enough, dogs, with a can of Surly's Before I Die lager for those 21-plus dogs out there.
That's for Pop. You get done feeding the dog and mixing the food, and she's like, this is great. And you say to yourself, I deserve a reward myself. And that is, of course, a Surly. Now, I am holding the mission of this entire show, which will continue on Monday, which is, of course, Before I Die. A delicious beer. It's a session beer. It goes great with games because you can have a few pops and it's no problem. But I mean, you've also got the Furious. You've got a delicious array of beers from our friends at Surly. You can, of course, find them in your local liquor store or in your local bar. Wherever you go, though, make sure you ask for a Surly. And if you can make it to Before I Die, do that. And as always, boys, tweet us your cans. I'm at Jay Zolgan on X, I guess now, at Score North. We want to see your cans. We want to see you drinking that Surly.
Amen. All right, so on the season here, straight up, Declan is 7-4 picking Vikings games. So listen to Declan. Judd is 5-6. You can kind of listen to Judd.
I'm on a slump though.
Yeah. I'm 3-8 straight up picking Vikings games.
Slump buster. Yeah.
Do not listen to what I am about to say. Whatever I'm about to say, ignore it. Whatever Declan's about to say, run with it. Whatever Judd's about to say, just at your own risk. Against the spread, wash it down with a Surly, guys. All of us are 5-6 against the spread now, picking Vikings games. So, not the greatest here.
I've never been. I'm actually going to I'm going down to Diamond Joe's this next coming weekend here with the Vikings bye week coming up, and nice. I have never been a big spread guy. I've always just been, give me the money line, give me straight up. Spreads can. Then I'm sweating a little bit more. I don't like it. I've never been.
You're
a
doing
spread
math,
guy.
You're like, okay.
You know how that works with me. Like, no. Like, who's gonna win and who's gonna lose the dang game? That's where I
math and grammar. I've heard. Are really tough.
Yeah. Very thankful. Huskies. He was very thankful for my bad grammar, which is good to hear. Always good to hear. All right, so I'll pick the Vikings to win this game. Obviously, as I said in the early points of this episode, I'll take the Vikings to win. I'll take them to also cover the spread. As much as I just ripped that, I'll have the Vikings winning this game. 24-14. I'm going to go with a big game here. I think the Vikings win this, knock on wood, comfortably against the Chicago Bears.
Okay. Judd?
So with a spread of 3, I do think it's going to be a close game, just because it just seems that's the predominant theme of Bears-Vikings games often. But I'm a Dex. I'm going to go with the Vikings. I'll say 21-17 Vikings win this game.
So you're winning and covering here.
Covering by a point.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat here. I do respect the Bears' run defense. All right, the Bears also had. Now Detroit's going through kind of a weird stretch where they're clearly not playing their best football right now.
Correct.
So take that into account. But the Bears did have a 2-touchdown lead on the Lions. It was a 12-point lead with like 3.5 minutes left in that game. So they should have beat. Now bad teams find ways to not win a game in which you're up by 12 points with 3.5 minutes left. So. I think the Bears aren't as garbage as maybe Vikings fans have thought the last couple months. So you have to respect them to some extent. Vikings win this game. Now, I made a prediction. I write that down that this will be the Vikings' first 17-point win, 3-score win or more since I think it was Week 15, 2019. They've really not blown a team out in 4 years.
Right before Thanksgiving, you were feeling your oats. You were feeling good.
But it's a home game. The Bears aren't that great. They're probably going to fire a coach at some point. The Vikings should feel dirty after that loss to the Broncos. So I will for sure on this episode say Vikings win, Vikings cover, and then we'll see if my write that down prediction comes to fruition. But how about like a 31-13 blowout? Just go beat someone's ass.
I agree, but like we keep saying it, we keep talking about it, and this team seems incapable of doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't disagree.
The Bears have taken, Kansas City 41-10. Green Bay beat them 38-20 early in the season. And then the Chargers beat them 30-13 in week 8. So the Bears can definitely, especially on the road, turn up and get their butts kicked.
But to your point, their defense has improved, and that probably is causing, or it's not probably, it's causing closer games now. But how about this? How about you win the turnover battle so that you have a chance to win substantially? Because you're not, if you lose the ball 2 or 3 times, guess what? You ain't going to win by a lot if you do win at all.
What is their net turnovers, right? It's minus, right?
Yeah, I didn't look that up, but I mean, 20 giveaways is, as I said, tied for third worst in the entire league. And I'm willing to bet you aren't going to be seeing a whole lot of playoff teams down at that end of the turnover spectrum, right?
No. And now you have to worry about too, like, win this game because the Packers all of a sudden inexplicably are clawing back in. They're 5-6. Like, just keep that distance and keep moving forward.
But to your point, and I was going back and forth with people on X during the Packers-Detroit game.
I love how you've made the transition to calling it X. It's
X. Well, I'm
calling it Twitter.
You know me. When things change, I am right with it. I'm very up to date. But my point was, win this game. If you're the Vikings, you're a game and a half back at Detroit.
Yeah, with 2 games.
Screw the Packers. Screw this. Oh, no, the Packers might catch us. Don't be afraid of that. Detroit's vulnerable right now.
Go get them.
Exactly. Like let's stop with the, Green Bay, how could you root for Green Bay? They might catch us. Bleep that. Go win the division.
Yeah, go get it.
You play them twice, guys.
But don't overlook the Bears. Got the Bears on Monday.
Don't overlook anybody. But the point is, you've got a path to win the division after a 1-4 start.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. And the Lions at some point are probably going to bounce back and start playing well again, I would think. People are like, well, the Lions have been playing lights out since like week 11 of last year. And so they're going through a weird stretch. Take advantage. All right. We all got the Vikings winning and covering. Let us know in the YouTube comment section what you think is going to happen in this game on Monday night. Purple Daily presented by Quick Trip Daily Vikings Entertainment. Hope you guys are having a great holiday weekend. We'll see you tomorrow.